Yo, what up guys, I'm Sammy and welcome back to the Soul Brothers channel. And this is my performance review of the Anta KT 7 Low. So this shoe is going for 140 bucks to 145 bucks depending on the colorway on Famuji. And the KT 7 is going from like 140 to 145 to 150 bucks. Also depending on the colorway. So it's pretty much the same exact price. If you guys do want to cop, I'll leave a link in the description box. But let's get started off with the Tracciones. And the traction is identical to the regular KT7, right? But the KT7 that I played in is like a semi-translucent outsole, but the KT7 Low is like a solid white rubber outsole, right? So the KT7 Low for me, I actually had to break it in a little bit, right? So when I first started playing in it, it wasn't having the best bite, you know, but I kept playing in it and kept getting better and better. So I feel like it's one of those like outsoles where you have to like break in or like peel off whatever like layer of rubber is on there, and then once you do that, it has an amazing bite, right? So if you're playing on a clean court, you're gonna be good to go. It has a really nice bite. You're stopping on a dime. If you're playing on a dusty court, however, it's gonna pick up a good amount of dust, right? It picks up dust fairly quickly too, which does suck, but it's a fairly easy wipe, right? You just go 1 or 2 wipes and you're good to go and you have good stops again. So if you're playing on a clean court, just remember to wipe, and you're gonna have to wipe a lot. And if you don't mind that, then you should be fine with the KT7 Low on a dusty court. If you're playing on an outdoor court, you should be good as well. I mean, Chinese companies in general give us very durable outsoles because they're demographic. You know, I heard that people in China usually play on outdoor courts. So the rubber is super hard, right? The grooves are very thick and deep, so you should be fine playing on an outdoor court. Also, a really nice premium touch in the KT7 Low and also the KT7 is this carbon fibre mid-foot plate, right? And we can also see that in the regular KT7, right? I actually miss having carbon fiber in shoes. You know, remember Nike used to do that with Nike Elites and stuff like that. But anyways, that's a nice premium touch, especially for 140, 150 bucks. Remember Nikes, you know, for their Elites, they would charge $40 more than the regular model, right? So it would be like 200, 225 plus. Anyways, there's that. Moving on to the heel to toe transition, overall is pretty damn smooth, right? So here in the heel, we have a nice rounded shape, although the cushion is very caged, which I don't like. They're calling it their 3D hug system, but overall, it's not clunky or anything. It's actually overall pretty smooth here in the heel. And then in the forefoot, we have a very nice curve shape and a lot of forefoot flex, just like here in the KT7, right? I would actually say the KT7 feels a little bit more flexible. I don't know why. But anyways, when you're doing heel dominant strides down the court, it's gonna feel really smooth. I really had no issues with that. Alright, moving on to the cushioning setup. It's the same exact cushioning setup as the regular KT7. So we have an N2 midsole and an N2 insole, which is pretty interesting. So if you look at the insole is actually pretty thick, sheet thick, dog, especially here in the heel. It looks like Boost, right? And it looks like it's heat pressed as well. So that definitely does improve the step and comfort, and it feels really comfortable, right? And then as you guys can see here in the heel, look how chonky it is. It's thick, you know? So they made it super thick because this feels really soft. It actually feels pretty similar to Boost. It looks and feels pretty similar to Boost, right? So they made it that thick, so that's why they had to cage it, and I guess that does make sense. But as far as the court feel goes, the court feel is good here in the forefoot, right? It feels low to the ground in the forefoot, but the heel gets really high, so there's a pretty high offset, and I don't really mind that all too much, but it's just, you know, it's just a little bit of a different feeling than more like flatter offsets. But yeah, I mean, there is still good compression, you know, there's a nice little compression, but because of this caging, I feel like it kind of like contains the midsole a little bit and gives it a little bit more bounce, which feels very nice. Impact protection is really good. Also responsiveness is good because here in the forefoot it's more like responsive and a little bit more stiff. Also step and comfort is great because of the insole, but also the strobe board is on the softer side of things, and once you break that in, you can also feel the N2 midsole underneath your foot, so it feels really nice as well. So overall, it's a great cushioning setup. I definitely do wish they would have maybe remove the cage a little bit. I mean, it's not a super stiff plastic though, which I guess is a good thing. But instead of that, I feel like they could have just made it thinner as far as the overall midsole goes. And in my opinion, I feel like it would have felt a little bit nicer because the heel would be a little bit lower to the ground. But either way, overall, it's really nice. Alright, moving on to the materials. So as opposed to the regular KT7, which it was like it actually has a good amount of like fuse. It's like a rubber type of fuse, right? And it feels kind of like cheap actually, you know, especially with this like, it kind of looks like a screen mesh material, right? But it's extremely thin. Look at that. Here in the KT7 Low, however, we have an extremely nice knit material, and it's on the thicker side of things, and it also felt a little stiff when I first got it, but it broke in really nicely just like I predicted. It gets really soft, it's comfortable, especially here in the forefoot. It stays around the same thickness here in the midfoot, but also it's still like a little stiff because it's like glued down. There is an underlying material as well, and that's a good thing because here on the lateral side you want more support, and then here in the forefoot it's more soft, right? But I would say I actually like the regular KT7 material better. For quality, I would say it's worse, but on foot it's just thinner, and I prefer thinner materials. So that's just in my opinion. Of course, if you want the better quality material and something a little bit more cozy and also a little bit more comfortable, then go with the Low, right? Also here in the ankle area, we have this stretchy type of knit, so you can stretch it open. So putting on the shoe is a lot easier. We also have a very high heel tab. And also, of course, this is a one booty upper with eyelets that kind of look like fly wire cables. So overall, it's a nice material. In my personal opinion, it's a little bit thicker than I would like. I actually prefer like the KT5 Low. The KT5 Low is just a really thin upper, right? The KT7 Low, however, it's just feels like it's actually like a little bit, it's definitely stiffer, and it feels like it's like twice as thick or something, right? So it's just a little too thick in my personal opinion, but it still feels nice when you break it in. So there's that. Moving on to the fit, I went true to size, and it's a really snug fit as well. My toes go right to the edge of the shoe, and as far as the width goes, it is slightly narrow. And then here in the forefoot, it is a snug fit as well. It's not super snug like the KT13s, and it does stretch out just a tiny bit because it is a knit material. But overall, it's still like on the more snug side of things, right? So I really like the fit. If you have a wide foot or you want a roomier fit, I would suggest going up half a size. Moving on to the support and lockdown, I really had zero issues with it. So for lateral containment, it wasn't a huge deal. Here in the forefoot, we have this cage coming up acting as a sidewall, and we have this plastic piece. Also, it feels like there is an internal heel counter as well. So lateral containment was good for me. I did feel the material like kind of rolling over on itself just a tiny bit, just because like this knit material, you know, it's a knit. You know, knits usually aren't as supportive as like, you know, synthetic materials, but it wasn't a huge deal. You know, I feel like even if you're a bigger dude, you should be fine. As far as lateral stability goes, you should be fine too. You know, look at this. It's a sharp outrigger, super wide as well, so you should be fine with that. Also, it is a Low, so you're not gonna get any type of ankle support. And obviously the KT7 is pretty much a high top shoe, so you have better ankle support in the regular KT7s. Alright, moving on to the weight of the shoe. The weight of this shoe is quite heavy though, right? If I remember correctly, it's like 14 ounces? Oh, yeah, 14.6 ounces. And the other pair is 14.71 ounces. Comparing that to the regular KT7, it's 14.22 ounces, so just a tiny bit lighter for the regular KT7, although it is a high top shoe, which is pretty interesting, right? So yeah, I mean, I did feel responsive when I was playing in it, and I did feel quick. You know, the traction is good, cushion overall is responsive, support was adequate for me as well. It's just, it felt a little bulky and a little heavy, you know what I mean? Oh, it definitely feels heavy, but it also feels a little bulky, especially here in the heel, because of like all of this midsole and caging in the heel, you know what I mean? So it wasn't the most minimal feeling shoe, which I didn't really like all too much, especially comparing it to the shoes that I'm playing in right now, that I'm testing, like the 2A2. I'm pretty much done reviewing that. Like the PG6, the Curry 9. So it definitely feels a lot bulkier and like heavier than those shoes. But if you don't mind that, then it's still gonna be a nice shoe because it is a responsive shoe, right? All right, moving on to the ventilation. It's overall pretty hot. Like it's a knit material, but it's on the thicker side of things, and there are ventilation holes, but there is an underlying material as well, so there's not crazy good airflow through this. So I would say it's like on the warmer side of things, you know? And I would actually say the regular KT7 is a little bit better for ventilation because the material is thinner and it allows for a little bit more airflow, right? So there's that. As far as the aesthetics go, I like it. I actually saw Klay Thompson playing in this exact color, which is pretty cool in the finals. And I really like how it looks. I feel like it looks a little bit better than the regular KT7, right? So tell us what you guys think of the aesthetics down in the comment section below. So wrapping things up, the KT7 Low, it's a solid performer. It's just not my type of shoe. You know, I definitely feel like it's a little heavier and a little bit bulkier than I would personally like. I would definitely keep it in my rotation pretty loosely though. You know, it's not like I hate it or anything. It's just, you know, I definitely feel like for me, there are better options. You know, like I said, PG6, Kyrie Infinity, Curry 9, Zoom Separate, Harden Volume 6 even, you know. Harden Volume 6 actually is like on the same, it's like the same weight, you know what I mean? But it's not as bulky, you know what I mean? Like just the heel is a little much. As far as who I think would like this shoe, I mean, if you want cushion and you don't really mind the high heel and also like the bulkiness in the heel either, and you want like a really cozy material, then this is a great option. But anyways, that about concludes my review of the KT7 Low. I definitely wish they would take it back a little bit to the older KTs, like the KT4. The KT5 Low was amazing. Like this shoe is extremely light, 11.18 ounces. This shoe is like 3-4 ounces heavier than this, right? But anyways, there's my review. Again, if you guys do want to cop, I'll leave a link in the description box. But that's it. Thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next one.